Do you struggle with putting yourself first? Are you tired of feeling burnt out and overwhelmed from constantly putting the needs of others before your own? I have created a sacred space that will be available once a week for 10 weeks to learn, dive deep, and create your boundaries to boost your confidence and self-worthiness. Go to www.krista-luna.com and sign up for the Master Your Boundaries course starting in September 2023. And use the code PARANORMAL to get 30% off today on www.crsta-luna.com.
I see ghosts, specters all around me. Living a star, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me. Where those moonflowers used to lost no more. Specters gather round here, living a star, blazing the dark. Night by night, stare into the black where moonflowers used to grow.
Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.
Welcome back to the first episode this week of Paranormal: The New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, just trying to bring a little normalcy to this world. Does it ever happen? God, no. It just never happens, and I like it that way. But as always, to try to help me bring normalcy, we have another new guest this week, and my guest this week, which I've been looking forward to for a long time, is Linda Despard, divine channeler and psychic medium, and probably a lot more because everybody's more than they advertise themselves as. So, but first things first, Linda, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good. I'm getting my crown chakra's going woo when you said, as always, a little bit more than what we advertise, and that is so true.
Is cool. That what that is? Okay.
The crown chakra. Yeah, crown chakra. Yeah.
Listeners, I finally have a name for that funny feeling in the middle of my head I get all the time. Crown chakra. Yay.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of stuff. So if it's in the middle, I'm like, do you want to go there right now? Do you want to?
Well, we can get into that in a bit, but I gotta ask you the questions I ask everybody, because it's always like these questions that spark everything else, always. But the first question I ask everybody, and this is a simple question, but it's just informational and entertaining as can be, and it's always different. What got you into the world of paranormal spiritual realms?
So I've always been connected in some sort of way since I was younger. I've seen things, and then growing up, but getting into my type of work that I'm doing now, it started with some mediumship that started to happen.
All right. So how did the mediumship start for you? Because every psychic is different. That's what I love about it. Every psychic medium is different, and they all have different, like, it all pops up at different places, and that's what I like, because it's like being an X-Men. They all get the powers at different times. Like,
oh yeah, I love X-Men too. So for me, I started working with somebody who assisted me with breaking through some trauma and karmic cycles. And once I started going through that process, all of a sudden my gifts started to increase greatly. And at the time I was detailing boats. I had a boat business, and I started receiving some messages, and mediumship just started going off. It was wild.
That's well, I mean, it's funny because I'm working with a Reiki energy worker right now who I advertise for on my show. Shout out to Jassy Jackson. And she has been doing bi-weekly sessions with me to try to help me get more control of my life in a way, like just try to help me figure out my purpose in life and what I'm meant to do. I mean,
Right.
all signs point to podcasting, but am I 100% on that? Of course not. So she offered her services and I of course said yes, because I don't know. I like being evaluated. I like being tested. Like, it's just mentally, like physically, no. Like, don't ask me to go back to gym class and do anything because I never will do it. But like mentally, I like to be constantly worked on. Like, it's just a thing of
Expansive.
mine. Yeah, it's expansive. I mean,
Right.
I feel it, and they say we only use so much of our brains, and there's more we can unlock. And we'll get into this in a little bit with what I said earlier when we first started. But I feel like there's more in my brain I got to unlock that I don't use, and I feel like it could benefit me in the future. But let me get to the second question, though, because before I forget to ask it, because I forget all the time. Have you had any experiences with anything in the paranormal realm, whether it be ghosts/spirits, which I'm sure that's where it's going to go with this one, but or extraterrestrials or cryptids, the less likely of the bunch. But have you had any of those type of experiences yet?
Lots, as recent as this morning.
Oh, please,
Yeah.
All right.
So there's a lot,
let's-
and it's like, which way do we go and where do we start, really?
Well,
Because there's
here's-
just so much.
Here's what I'm thinking. Let's start with this morning, because I feel like if things happen in the same day as you being on a paranormal podcast, I feel like they kind of could be related somehow. I don't know why, but they could be. And then from there, we'll see where we go. But
Right. Spirit works in very mysterious ways. And so does darkness, right? So I'm just reflecting on my day today. So this morning, I was doing a healing for myself, and that's what I do every morning, cleansing my energy. And all of a sudden, my guides said, dropped into observation, and right in my face was a creature. And I'm like, I've seen you before. I don't know exactly what you are, but I have a good idea what you are. And I didn't go any further with it because I've already had conversations with this being before. And I'm not afraid of it. So yeah, that happened. I've had some very significant signs where I have pictures of like this is weird, but lip marks on my shower stall.
really,
Yep, and I have pictures of it looks like a creature's hand in my shower stall. And I was like, I'm gonna try to debunk this. I put my hand up against it. Oh no, that's not my hand. Not at all. No, that's not my hand. And I asked my guides, and nope, that's not your hand. You're right. I'm like, okay, all right.
well, kind of curious
So-
now, because you said you think you know what this creature is, and I mean, since I know what you do, I kind of have a feeling where this is going, but I could be 100% wrong, and that's the part that the curiosity kills me. I'm like, call me a cat that way, but what do you think it is, and does it possibly start with a D?
Yeah, I don't like to give it names because one, I'm just gonna say it's extraterrestrial.
Oh, which that could mean. I mean, I actually
Most
I actually
certainly is. That was just downloaded. Most certainly is. Mhm.
all right, which I mean, I could be technically right with the D thing too, because we don't know what they are. So I mean, I don't like to invoke the name of these creatures, but
Right.
we'll call them underworldly beings for now, because that's the best way to put it without
Yes.
getting specifications.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
and whether they are extraterrestrial or not in origin, we don't know. That's one of the biggest paranormal wormholes, is we don't know what they are by nature. I mean, yes, if you're religious, they mean one thing, and if you're not, they can mean 1,000 things. But depends what you go by. But and that just to tell you, if I saw that in my shower, I would never go in that shower again. I'd rather go to work smelly every day than have to deal with that. But
Well, the thing is, I will just say very honestly, Jeremy, that about 6-7 months ago, I would be scared of darkness. But I've been through so much training now that I know firsthand that you cannot show any fear, because then they will play you like puppets. So it's, what are you doing? What do you want? Okay, please leave now, because I'm not from the dark, I'm from the light, and darkness does not belong here, and just sending them along their merry way, obviously with training.
obviously,
But,
I mean,
yeah,
if someone,
it's pretty intense.
if someone without training tries doing the same thing, it's going to laugh at them and just keep doing what it's doing. But
Yeah, I know.
I mean, as someone who, there was a time in my life where I would have gladly gave into the darkness if it actually gave me the chance. But I don't know. I've been at a point in my life where I was in the void, a gray void, and there was for many, many years I was in a gray void, and I was looking for something, whether it would be light or darkness. It didn't really matter to me at that point, just something. And
Wanted to belong somewhere.
wanted to belong / wanted power, the usual mid-20 angsty years. But it's just trying to find your place in the world and trying to find something beyond this world that you can belong in.
Right.
Or what's beyond this world even. Because that's the reason I started this podcast for the main part is, one, I love the paranormal, and two, I want to know what's out there. And I'm agnostic if you want to give a name to religions, I'm agnostic, and I don't like to say there's nothing out there, because I was an atheist for years, but I feel like there's got to be something out there. I just don't know what it is. And that's the part that drives me crazy slowly, is because I don't know what's out there. And I know there's something. There has to be. I've seen signs, but none of them actually point me there's none of those big movie signs where literally it's pointing something like, right here, this is what you need to look for. I never had that kind of sign. I've had little signs here and there. I know there's extraterrestrials. I know there's other things out there, that I live with things that are out there that are passed on things, but we just, I don't know. It's just, that's why I like talking to psychic mediums the most. Out of all my episodes, that's probably who I talk to the most, is because they have experience that I don't have and that I desperately want.
I will say this, that we're all capable. We all have gifts, right? So we all have sight, hearing, and feeling. We can have it. What happens is we're working so much, the government suppresses us, we're in the matrix fully. So we're in the matrix, we can't focus and calm our minds down enough to allow the messages to come in, to allow the sight, to allow the feeling. So they keep us with chains on our hands and our ankles. But we are all able to do it. We are.
Which brings me right back to what we talked about at the beginning. I love how that works. But first things first, what's going on, Anthony? I'm glad you're watching, buddy. Your episode that dropped this past Wednesday has been getting a lot of traction, buddy. I thank you for it. We'll have to get you back on soon. But yeah, what I was saying in the beginning is, every time since I started this show, and this never happened till I started this show, which leads me down the road that podcasting is the right way to go. But since I started the show, every time I talk to anybody who's in the spiritual field, mediums, psychics, channelers, take your pick. I can't think of any more names at this point, but there's a lot of other fields that cover this type of stuff. But ever since that happened, when I'm talking to them, halfway through the interview, or even sooner sometimes, right in the temple, right in the middle of my head, I get this feeling that I can't shake until the interview is long over. And I've been told before,
we're activating you
slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Maybe I can hope.
Chills. Yeah, no, we're activating you.
And that's
Oh, that's so cool.
I think that's it is. I mean, part of me wishes it would happen a little faster, but I mean, it's just I mean, I've had so many mediums say it before too, like, yeah, you're getting activated. It may take time, but you're getting activated. And like you said, though, in this world we live in where I have to work a 9-to-5 job, have kids, dogs, and a wife to spend time with, and also have 4 podcasts I'm on a regular basis. I mean, it's just the time I don't meditate. I can't meditate. Like the time to sit there and actually clear my head and just literally do nothing for a few minutes and just meditate. Like it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. My days are so scheduled out. It just doesn't happen.
Meditation comes in all forms. So you could be driving home and you can meditate. So just clearing your mind while you're driving. And if you're getting images, that's meditating.
I feel like that would lead to an accident. But I mean, I get what you're saying, but I feel like
I mean, it depends on the person, right? Or like mowing the lawn. You could be meditating during that, and you might not even know it.
It's
going into that nothingness, you know?
See, that right there is the thing. It's going into that nothingness, and my brain doesn't work that way. My brain doesn't shut. I mean, as I told you, I have bi-weekly like classes with this amazing Reiki worker and energy worker, and I just can't. Like, even when she does her Reiki sessions, like, I can clear my mind to some degree, and like I can feel her energy working on me, but I never can clear my mind fully. Like, there's always something in the background. There's some gears back there that are grinding away. Like, no, you need to think about this a little bit right now. Like, it's just, I mean, it's a personal thing, and I'm working on it daily, but it's just, there's too much going on. Like, it's just too much going on in my head at all times. It does.
Right,
I mean,
it takes time. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I was still doing a 9-to-5 job. So the universe gifted back my corporate like job. I was working in an office and I felt like a caged animal.
Mm-hmm.
And my gifts were starting to slowly come in. And then once, that job was just expired, I was like, okay, this is it. And it's just been nonstop healing and working on myself and tapping into working with my guides and channeling and all of that.
I've been told by other people in the profession that day may come for me eventually, but it's not just my time yet. And I mean, the day that day comes, and I can work on my podcast every day, fully all day. I will be the happiest man in the world because it's truly what I love doing. And I mean, I literally had to rush last night to edit an episode to release on Wednesday, and I had to release a special this past Saturday instead of a normal episode because I just didn't have time to edit it. And I mean, it's just it's the way it goes. I mean, it ebbs and flows the time you have, but it's just I don't know. It's been a year, and my awakening's been taking over a year at this point, and it's getting to the point where it's almost frustrating. I don't want to say it is because it's not, because I love this, but it's just like, give me a little more. Give me a little more. Let me feel like I'm working towards something here rather than just the same feeling over and over again. And that cold feeling you got, I get that constantly on this show. And I know sometimes it's the spirit of my house that's chilling next to me. I'm sure. But other times I don't know what it is.
Yeah, quite a few, actually. I saw 2 to 3. I was like, okay, 2 to 3. So what does that mean? Do you want me to tap in?
Oh, be my guest. But while you're doing that, yeah, my pleasure, brother. And haunted dolls? No, I'm good at haunted dolls, man. I don't mess around. I don't fuck with no haunted dolls. Robert the doll can stay free in Key West, and Annabelle can stay where the hell she ran off to.
Yeah, I don't want any haunted dolls. No.
No, I've heard enough bad stories.
And that was not good. Mm-mm.
I've heard enough bad stories about haunted dolls. My wife would love one, but I don't want one. No. I got enough stuff going on in my house. And hello, Marianne. Ghost House Paranormal Pit, New Jersey.
Hello.
We gotta get you guys on the show sometime. Message me, Jeremy Bryant. Let's do it. But all right, now we're back to it though. Yeah, I mean, I know I've been told by investigators and by other mediums that the husband and wife who originally built this house still live here. And we've had dynamic proof to that. We've had animals killed by spirits. No other way they could have died. I haven't seen things necessarily either than out of the corner of my eye, and I really don't count those as real sightings. But people at my house have seen things before, so I know I have two spirits at least here. But I've also been told by mediums that one of my grandfathers was here at one point. So who knows? Maybe I'm walking around with the army of ghosts behind me. Wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Wouldn't surprise me. I talk about them enough.
Right. Well, our loved ones are always around. And then we sense them and feel them when we allow. So like my loved ones, they only come in every once in a great while. But that's for me. That's different. I think, for mediumship, I'm like, I don't know if I calm down enough to allow them to come in and speak to me. Sometimes I'm kind of forced, like yesterday. It's like, okay, there's my great grandfather. Cool. But as far as your house, I saw somebody that had like lighter colored hair that was a woman, and then for a man, there was a man that had darker hair. And it looks between the 30s and 40s.
30s and wait a minute, you said the man had darker hair?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I mean, because they died in the married couple who previously owned this house died in their 70s, I think. So they're definitely not that age range, but or at
But
least,
how old is that's the year. So that's the year, the time frame that they're showing me. How old is the house?
It was built in the 70s, I believe, late 60s, or maybe even 67.
Land. What about the land? So this is a misconception too for some time. Some people, they'll be like, oh, well, the house was built in 1990. And I'm like, yeah, but what about the land?
Well, I mean, yeah, and I understand that concept completely. The land is sometimes an issue as well. And as from what I've been told by neighbors, this street was originally built by the family that moved in here, and like the 4 different parties of that family built up this street, and they built the house. And okay, well, I just want to address this really fast. Marianne said she feels an older man's been hanging around you. She's smelling cigars, which
It could be older.
I mean, I don't know if Riley, the guy who lived here originally, smoked. I don't know. I have no proof of that. I never knew him personally, but it's possible. I mean, he likes to hang around the garage, in the basement, and the carport. So, from what I've been told, so that's very possible. I mean, we caught an orb in the garage, so we believe it's him. But I don't know. I mean, younger guy. I'm sorry.
Do you have a cape? What kind of house do you have? Is it like a smaller cape?
It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom. I mean, when I first bought it, my family thought it was like, they thought I bought a trailer at first from the way it looked, but it has a basement, so obviously it's not a trailer. But
Right.
So I mean, I don't think it's a Cape Cod design house, but I am also not that type of person who knows that type of stuff. So
Oh, okay.
watch for nail throwing. And it's funny, Marianne, you say that, because we find nails and screws all over the yard. Like, even after we think we get them all, the next time we go through the yard, my daughter will run up and hand us another one she found in the yard. And I mean, yeah, the owner of the house liked to Mickey Mouse everything around this house. But speaking of the devil, but I mean, he liked the Mickey Mouse things around this house, so I don't know. But so it's the nails get thrown around thing kind of it doesn't make sense in a way, because we find stuff in the yard constantly. Like, we have a cup in the front porch that we fill up with stuff we find, and it's half full of nails and bolts and screws and all that stuff.
And grass.
Yeah, and grass.
Wow.
So I mean, but what you said about the younger guy, I mean, my best friend when I lived in New York, who I lived with for a while, he died in a house fire in 2017, I think it was, or 2018. And he was very sick, and the cops thought he OD'd on something and possibly just let the house burn, but that's not like him. So I don't think that's what happened. I think it was purely accidental, but I don't know. I mean, and I've been told by people that he's around me before too. So I mean, that one I don't know about. Like his name is Brian. If he's here, dude, talk to me. I would love to talk to you again. I miss talking to you. You were my conscience for a long, long time. And yet, yes, Marianne, yes, that is the guy, Raleigh, the guy who lived here originally. He Mickey Mouse. Brian didn't really like to build things. I mean, if those two go together, it was Brian with a Y. But I mean, he didn't really build things as far as I knew, and I knew him for a good decade. Like I never saw him build anything besides a collection of vodka bottles. But I mean. I don't know. I think you might be getting mixed signals from a couple different spirits. I really don't know. I mean, it's just
right. Yeah, you never know.
I mean, it's just.
Well, also, it's like I'm being reminded that when we like transition, we go back to. I don't know. It's interesting. It's hard to articulate wholeness, right? So we're also part of our other past lives as well. But we can come forward from what I'm gathering and seeing right now. We can come forward and explain and provide confirmation from this past life, this lifetime now. There's just so many layers. It's hard to articulate all of that. There's a lot of layers.
Marianne says that she texts that name before I say his name even. So, I mean, he could be watching over me because he was like a big brother to me in a way. So, I mean, I don't know. I ain't trying to start no war of the mediums here or anything. But, I mean.
Is he a few years older than you?
Yeah, he was a few years older than me.
I just heard him say, tell him I'm a few years older than him.
He was. I was born in 88. He was born in like 84 to 86. Somewhere in that range. He had a few years on me.
I just saw a 3. A 3.
I mean, he might have been born in 83. I don't know. It's possible. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't remember what his age was.
I'm like, are we doing mediumship? What are we doing here? Because I'm not clicked in for mediumship right now, but if you want, I can.
I mean,
there's so many things to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, all right. Let me ask you this. This is something I like to ask all mediums that are on my show at some point. What experience did you have? I don't want to say horrifying, but what experience had you like jump back and be like, whoa, this is not something I want to be involved in right now?
Oh, when I was dropped into observation in Russia.
Oh, you've been to Russia?
Uh-huh.
So before or after this whole Ukraine thing?
No, so this was a few months ago, back in November.
Oh, so the Ukraine stuff started already then, right?
November, December, and mid-January.
Oh, so that was right in the middle of all this horribleness with the Ukraine. So, yeah.
Right. So I was dropped into observation to a bunker, and I saw huge missiles. And I've also seen the Russian president yelling at his psychic advisor. And I was like, get me out. Because I don't know at that time. I'm like, I don't know if they can see me. And I don't want them, you know what I mean? I don't want them doing anything to me. So it's like, no. No. And it's interesting because I mentioned it to somebody a few months ago. I said, they're getting ready for something. And I don't watch the news, period. I don't watch the news.
Me either. But yeah.
I'm like, they're getting ready for something, and I could see them running around and preparing. And then just a few weeks ago, I put on my browser and it said that there was like a hidden bunker that was found that was his. And I was like, I was just talking about that a few months ago.
And
I was there. I saw it.
which what you just said right there, that the Russian president has a psychic advisor. I don't think our not getting
We
into
have one.
politics, do we?
Yeah,
I know
two.
past presidents have, but I didn't think that Biden would do that.
They all have one. Biden is being played like a puppet.
I
Biden's
100% agree.
not. Biden's
I
not
mean,
Biden.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what.
all-
I don't know
well,
where to go with that, but I've felt that since he got into office, and
Well, I
and
mean-
I just
all presidents are puppets to some degree because the president in the United States literally holds next to no power. It's all every other branch of the government that holds power over them because they choose what they want them to do. They just advise them on the best course of action, and then he gets to pick whoever kind of butters his bread the best to do that action. But in my opinion, I mean, that's from that's why I learned from history class, from government classes in school. So
right,
I mean,
right. Well, what I know,
Marianne,
like what I feel,
go ahead, Marianne, go ahead. It's fine.
what I know and what I feel about the situation is that more so than the president previous, this current president is being like fully controlled.
Well, I mean, you can't control what comes out of Trump's mouth, let alone what he did. So
True. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Oh god, yeah. Like I said, I'm not trying to turn this into a political argument at all. But
No,
but
my
the
gosh,
fact that
that's a lot.
Yeah, I try to avoid politics in this podcast for that reason because I have political views that a lot of people don't like. But and I try to avoid that so I don't lose listeners because of that. But I mean, it's interesting you say that because I actually had a publisher on my show a month ago now probably, and I was supposed to have the author on originally of this book, and the author passed away, but the publisher came on still, unbeknown to me until I actually saw him or saw his screen because he didn't do video. But the author was a vampiric reptilian, according to his book he wrote, which whether there's truth in that or not, I don't know. I believe it's possible, but I don't know. I have no physical proof to say, but
Can you
according to
repeat what that was again?
the author was a vampiric reptilian, according to what I've been told. Which, whether they exist or not, I don't know. It's possible. All things are possible in this world. That's one thing I learned. But according to him, the world is going to end our world as we know it will end in 2025. And I'll be damned if signs aren't pointing that way. I'll be damned. I mean, I like to think the government will work things out eventually and not have us go that way. But the government can't control everything, so you never know.
Our world as we know it is going to end in 2025. No, that's a big no. What I see is that there's certain individuals that are being awakened, that have been sent here, that are from different planets. And we're finding out what planets that we're from, because there's, like myself, I have certain characteristics from different planets.
Are you a starseed? Are you a starseed? Or indigo child, whatever you prefer to be called?
So I don't even know what I would even call myself, because starseed, it feels about 50%. There's much more there. So I haven't quite gotten to what is it, right? I met somebody a few weeks ago when I did a visit at their house, and the individual that led me there was saying, there may be a portal. And I'm like, well, there's portals everywhere, so yes, there was a portal. Yes, it needed to be tended to, but there was also a vortex there. Anyways, long story short, the homeowner was like, what are you? And I was like, I don't even know how to articulate that, because there's so much to what I am.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's so much in this world. I mean, and I've talked to starseeds in this show before, and I mean, I could be a starseed and not know it, for God's sake. I mean, anybody,
Yeah.
God's sake, whatever you want to say it.
Right.
But I mean, anybody could be, and that's the thing. I mean, were extraterrestrials here before us? I can 100%.
Absolutely.
I can 100% believe that. I can 100% believe it. Have I seen the proof of it? Of course, no. But no, none of us really have. But, and Marianne, I don't know. I mean, if Raleigh was a World War II soldier, I have no idea. He could have been. He might have been at the right age. I think he might have been a little bit too young for that, but I could be wrong. I mean, I've been told my grandfather's been in this house before, and both my grandfathers were World War II soldiers. So that's I don't know what to think about that. And something big will be coming. We are all focused on what's going inside the world. That this outer vision is very scary. Yeah, that's what I've been told by a lot of people, is that what's going to happen is not going to be humans. It's not going to be inside our world. It's going to be coming from outside our world, and we're going to have to learn to live with it, learn to adjust to what happens, which I personally don't know what to think about that. I really don't. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I can't change the future, and I can't stop the future. So whatever happens is going to happen. I 100% believe, I'm 100% behind that theory, and I'll live with it best I can.
It's already happening.
Oh, it is.
It's been happening. COVID was like the start of the blackout. It's been happening. The clearing has been happening. That was like a clearing because the world was overpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to it. There's so much to it. And it's already happening. If we open our eyes and look around, it's like, yeah, okay. It's already happening.
I 100% agree. I mean, there's so much. I mean, extraterrestrials probably have been here since the beginning of time, and they might have left for a while, even when we start getting intelligent enough to realize these are not the same as us. But I mean, were they going to come back eventually, or had they been here and hiding the whole time? I 100% can believe that. I 100% can believe that. And I mean, it's scary in a way, because our minds have been filled with all this pop culture of aliens are going to take us over and destroy us, or aliens are going to take over the world and we're going to be slaves. Like, that type of pop culture has filled our minds, but that might not be the truth. They may want to work together with us to make us have a better world, and
they do want to work together with us, and they can't come here because people are too scared, and then people would be trying to blow them up because they don't have the knowledge to understand what they're trying to do.
Exactly. I mean, you just said a mouthful. You just said a mouthful, and I agree 100%. I mean, it's just, we've all been blinded. Pop culture blinds us all, and I'm a victim.
I would have been scared last year. I totally would have been scared when I met with my mentor, and she told me in person, like, you're going to have a client that's going to be an alien, and this is how you can tell if they are. And I looked at her like she was buku crazy. But sure enough, a month later, I had an individual who was a client, and I was speaking to extraterrestrial beings and channeling them for him. And I was like, this is wild. This is insane. Like, is this really happening? Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really believe that all extraterrestrials are coming? And that, I mean, not that they're all coming, but do you believe they're all really coming to help us? Or do you think there are some that have more sinister emotions in mind?
They're already here to help us, because the ones that already have the, solutions. They've been here. They've been here. They've been doing their thing. They've made this uptick happen. All the anger and the hurt and the pain. Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, for one, yeah, there's the whole theory of reptilians have been here all along and that they're in the government and that they're assuming identities. I mean, Marvel Comics basically did a whole scroll thing around that idea. But I mean, I don't know. And Marianne, you scared the shit out of me, literally, because I had my 2 freaking vaccinations, so thank you. But Marianne said if I was talking with someone about the COVID situation, if you receive the COVID shot within the 5-year period, people will be removed from the world, which I don't know how true that is because I got my shots. It wasn't 5 years ago, but it was like 3 years ago, and I don't want to go anywhere, so I hope it's not true. Because
I'm being told by my guides that this is absolutely not true. Archangel Uriel is coming forward. He is saying this is not true. I've had the COVID shot.
Yeah,
when it all started, I had to. I was working. I was working 2 full-time jobs, and I was working in the human resources, area. I was working for the state of New Hampshire, helping parents reunify with their children. I had to get the COVID shot.
Oh, okay, New Hampshire. We got to talk off camera when this goes off, but that's interesting. But I can't believe that's true. I feel okay. Supposedly, someone who helped make the vaccine told their parentheses government. The government people lie all the time about things just to scare people, and Marianne, I'm not trying to doubt you at all. She even says, hopefully it's not true. I agree because I don't want to scare out my wife and kids need me. But
it's good to ask our spiritual guides. It's good to communicate with our soul and ask our soul, like, is that true?
No. I got the vaccine because it seemed like the right thing to do, and because the government said safe, and I wanted to trust my government. If I started this podcast before then, I might have thought differently. Who knows? Because I never went back after the 2 and got my boosters or anything because I stopped believing all this stuff. But it's just, I don't know. It's a lot to think about, and it could literally drive you crazy trying to think of every.
It's a lot to digest. It is, and that's why I just stay away from the news and everything because it's like garbage at this point.
I'm with you, Marianne, to some degree because that's why I didn't get the boosters because COVID, I believe, was population control to a degree. It 100% was. I agree with that. But let's get off the topic of COVID here because it's been 3 years. No one wants to hear us talk about COVID anymore. I can guarantee you that. But you mentioned
a wild thing.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It changed the world for. Yes, there are diseases every 100 years or so that make people quarantine and do that type of stuff. And no need to apologize, Marianne. It's not your fault. I don't blame you. I'm all about talking for her, but if someone wants to let me on the show talk about it and they're a more political show, then yeah, I'm all down. But I like to try to keep this show paranormal as best I can. I think we go down a wormhole sometimes that we can't get out of, but it's no big deal.
That's okay. It's all good stuff.
Exactly. It's all good conversation, which all matters. But you said something about awakening, and I asked every psychic, every medium, everybody who works in the spirit realm. I asked this question too, because I've been told, and I believe there's been a huge spiritual awakening that I think I'm even a part of that happened in the last. I've heard people say it started in 2015. I've heard people say that it's happened in 2012, that the Mayan calendar was the mark of the great spiritual awakening, not the apocalyptic ending of the world like most people thought. So, what do you think? I know you said there's an awakening going on, so you believe there's an awakening going on, but when do you think it actually started? And I love this question because everybody's different answers.
It's a really good question because I actually haven't thought about it. So let me try to think about it and see.
And Marianne, while she's thinking about that, you get the whole time between your paranormal events and alien awakening. Yeah, I understand, and trust me, I scare people too. Trust me,
too.
it's been a lifelong. I enjoy it actually. It's like a lifelong love of mine to scare people. But oh, there you go.
2013.
Oh, that's an answer I have not heard before. But Marianne, that's great. If you've been helping missing people come home, that's awesome. That's an amazing job. Well done. But 2013, I have not heard that answer before. And I mean, I guess it kind of relates to the 2012 one a little bit because that was supposed to be in December. So December 2012 and 2013, not that far off. But I mean, still,
Yeah,
that's,
it's the tail end. It's interesting.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
it
do
makes
some
sense.
research and see if there was something. Do you know, just off the top of your head, if something significant happened in 2013?
Trying to think back to
I want
2013.
me to eat this one.
I was doing. What was I doing in 2013? I was working as a data entry person. So no, as far as I know, nothing happened in 2013. I mean,
Right.
Obama's second term started in 2013, but I mean, other than that, like nothing. Other than that, nothing comes to my mind about 2013. Really, it wasn't a significant year as far as I know. I
There
mean,
could have been something on the other side of the world that we don't even know about that happened that shook the earth, right? So
it's possible. I mean, but it's just I can't think of anything now. I just really. I mean, we had a. No, I can't even think of anything, honestly. I mean, was that the year we had the really bad hurricane in New York? I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, things that affected me, though, wouldn't it, like, purposely affect the world. Like, if things affected me, it's not going to affect the world. And I'm like you. I have never in my life watched the news unless I was a kid and someone else had it on, or now unless my wife has it on. But other than that, I don't watch the news because, as a good friend of mine says, the news just makes you depressed. So why watch it?
Right.
So 2013, though, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I am 100%. I'll add that to my list of options for that.
Yeah,
But-
I just wrote it down too, so I could check into it later because I'm like, huh.
Oh, please, if you find anything, let me know. But
I know
don't-
1956 comes up a lot, and that is a huge that was a huge change in the energetic waves with men and the way that they were starting to treat women. It's interesting. So
Well, I was
that
gonna say,
just came through too.
I was gonna say, since you said there's a big change with men in that time, I'm like, what? They stopped beating their wives and kids finally? But I mean, because it's my father like both my parents were actually born in '59, so that's before my parents' time even. So that's going back to a time where, I always said I wish I lived in that time because things seemed simpler and things seemed less expensive.
Right.
I mean, yeah, obviously you got to adjust for money, what you made back then versus now, but still things seemed simpler and easier. I mean, hell, a shoe salesman could afford a beautiful house compared to what I could afford. So yeah, and that's the 80s. I'm not even talking 50. That's the 80s, but still, it's just life goes on. But all right, the other question I ask every medium always is, and I kind of like usually ask these, which was the previous question I asked you a little while ago, but whatever. What was the experience you had as a psychic that not that horrified you, but made you actually like almost have tears of joy or even possibly have tears of joy? Like, what was the thing that really like just stood out to you and was like when you knew your purpose almost, I guess? Like that's like when you actually like the experience that belittled you so much that you realized this is what I meant to do.
Wow. My goodness.
I know I asked the hard ones.
It is because it's so
Thank you, Marianne.
interesting because I keep seeing a bunch of the sessions and it's like not just one is sticking out. When I am like fully aligned and clicked in for a session, so much information can come forward. So it's helping people, right? And the position that I have is all about helping. It's just like providing the mysteries of the world. That's a huge thing. Providing mysteries of illnesses that people don't even realize, well, why am I sick and the doctor can't find out what's the matter with me? Why am I having these migraines? And the doctor is not finding anything. And then I come through with C3, C4 misalignment in their spine. Then they go and had an x-ray, I get an email, and boom, it's like, okay, yeah, this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. A lot of stuff like that, just helping with healing sessions, and somebody that had cancer and they were going for cancer treatment. And they're like, yeah, I think, I have another year of treatment that I need to go for. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you're going to be okay. I don't think you're going to need more treatment. And then I get an email saying that their cancer didn't progress anymore and they don't need any more treatment from Boston Women's Hospital. So it's like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is it.
See, that right there. That's why I do this podcast. I mean, yeah, I'm not helping people the way you are. No way in hell. Like, I'm nowhere near that. But I am. I mean, I've been told, and I'd like to think that it's because I'm getting people like you. I'm getting your voice out there. I'm letting people know you exist, and I'm spreading the word. I mean, if you can't perform the miracles in the Bible, be one of the freaking apostles who writes the book about it. So, as much as I don't like the Bible and I don't like organized religion, I will use that metaphor in this situation. But I mean, it's just, it's what it is. Exactly. It works. It works. It's the best way I can use to describe it. I mean, I can't really use a Harry Potter metaphor in that reference, but it works. And that's why I like doing this podcast, because I want people to know that there are people out there that can help them. They're not the outrageously priced medical field. That are not the government and other organizations that are only looking to make money. I wish our healthcare organizations were not looking to make money and we're just out there to help people, but that's not the truth. Sorry to say. I mean, there's good people out there in those organizations, but they're not there to. They can't control how much it costs to get something done.
Right.
So.
Right.
Well,
it's tough. It is tough. My whole thing is my dream, and I'm hearing it. It's like being downloaded into me right now, is that, my guides, they're really pushing me to speak up and try to connect with healthcare professionals so that individuals like myself who can scan the body, who can see things that maybe they may not be able to see, we can work together collaboratively, because there's just so many instances. Like, I have one client, and their child has a seizure disorder, and the mother has called the doctor's office and she hasn't received a reply back. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks, but in the meantime, she's coming to me and I'm providing her information to help stabilize the seizures. So, there's a lack of effort there, and it could be, very well because they don't have enough hands. They don't have enough bodies.
It is, but they also need to. I will be happiest the day that the medical community admits that they need to work with. I mean, if the leaders of our nations are working with psychics, but the medical community can't do it openly, something's wrong there. There's a misconnect somewhere there, because
a huge one, yeah.
The medical community. But then again, as someone who used to do medical billing data entry, they would need to make a code for it so they could charge for it, because nobody works for free in the medical world. Nobody works for free. So It's just, or even and then again, how would insurance bill it? That's the other thing. I mean, it's just, I'm not defending the medical community by any freaking means in this, but I mean, I could see the hurdles they are trying to prevent by not doing it yet.
But it's like, if there's a will, there's a way. You know,
Exactly. I
if
mean,
there's a will, there's a way. Just like I worked with New Hampshire State Police last year with a missing girl, and it's like they do utilize psychics. They do, and
oh well.
if there's a will, there's a way. You know.
Well, since you mentioned that, I'll say this again. I've said it before in the show, but I do another podcast that's paranormal called Global Strangeness. And one of my co-hosts during COVID, before I met her, was doing a lucid dreaming astral projection class online. And there was a New York City police detective in that class as well. And he said a lot of his fellow officers, fellow detectives, are into the same thing because it helps them solve cases.
Right. Yeah.
Which, if the police are starting to do it, maybe the medical community will start to do it eventually. I mean, there's hope. There's a hope there, and that's all we need is a hope, because hope changes things. It really does. And
it's about normalizing
yes,
us. It's really about normalizing us, all of us.
And you said
I can't even go into the grocery store and, you know, if somebody says, "Oh, what are you?" A few months ago, like, what do you do for work? A few months ago, I wouldn't have been comfortable to say, "Oh, I'm a psychic medium. I'm a psychic." You know, we have to normalize it. It's just so like woohoo, witchy, like, you know, people are, "Oh, that's voodoo. That's whatever." No.
Which I say all this. I say in the show all the time. I mean, when I grew up in the '90s, the psychic was the crazy lady who has a little storefront in her house on Main Street. Other than that, like, they don't exist. How wrong that perception was, I now come to realize, obviously. And it's funny because you actually just kind of almost gave me a prop there with the name of the show, because the paranormal is the new normal. That's why the show is named that, because, and I mean, I get so many compliments on the name of this show because it's the truth. It's the truth.
Right.
And when I was trying to think of a name for the show, the first thing that came to my mind was paranormal is the new normal. And all my friends were like, cut out the is, just paranormal, the new normal. And I was like, okay, it feels right. Let's do it. And so it is the new normal, and people need to accept it more. I mean, that's my goal. That's my mission on this show, is to promote it to the point where people recognize it more. And yes, I'm one of thousands of people out there that have paranormal podcasts doing it. I'm not stupid enough to not know that, but I may be stupid to some degree. I don't know. I'm not stupid enough for that, but I mean, it's just. But I totally just had something else I wanted to. Oh, well, before we go, I want to talk about your divine channeling side a little bit, because as someone who is agnostic and finds proof of any type of religion hard to believe, how do you know you're talking to angels? Like, do they straight out tell you, or do you just get the feeling? Or, I mean, how do you know?
For me, because I've been through like extensive training, I interrogate whoever's trying to come through. So I ask them to show themselves. I ask them who they serve. I ask them what they do and how they serve, and then we go from there. And they provide me a lot of information. Like the archangels, they'll provide me information on what they do, what they have done, stuff like that. You're like, oh.
I mean,
religion, if we want to get into the religion part, the number one thing that's been said across the board since I've been working with them is that all religions belong, just like all human beings belong.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I would never hate anybody because of I'll even put it better than that.
There's truth in everything. There's truth and lies in everything.
I would never hate anybody because they are religious. I'm not going to say because they're of the religion, because as an agnostic, people are going to be like, well, you hate everybody with religion. No, I don't. If religion helps you, I applaud you. If it helps you, great. You found something I couldn't in life. That you found something that I never found, and I applaud you because I wish I could find something that soothes me that way. That religion soothes some people. I can't do that. It just my kids do it to me. My wife does it to me. Like they soothe me in ways that religion can't. Maybe that'll change someday. Maybe. I mean, I've been to some churches where I actually had that feeling in my head where like something was trying to interact with me, but it was a visiting thing and it wasn't like a thing I can go to every week and try to reenact. Like it happened once, and that's when I went from being atheist to agnostic. Is when it happened once, because if I can get one feeling, then that's great. And sorry, Charles. Hey, buddy, I'm doing great. Hope you're doing great as well.
Oh,
Thank you for watching yet again. And I mean, it's just, I mean, and you're not the first person I talked to that channels angels. I mean, I've talked to one of the first people I talked to was Carol Collins, the Pittsburgh medium, she's a channeler of the Jeshua Collective. Which
I don't know what that is.
It's funny how many people say that, but yet, like, when I talked to her, it was a common thing. But I mean, the Jeshua Collective is a collective of angels, from what I understand. I mean, I'm nowhere near an expert in any of this, but I mean, groups of angels may call themselves different names. I don't freaking know. I mean, angels do what angels do, I guess. But
well, they're if we're you just have to angels, or it's like, are they angels? What are they?
Well, I mean, that's the biggest thing is if you believe if you believe in what Bibles tell us, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was make you think he doesn't exist. So, I mean, who you got to think about who you're talking to if you're going to talk to anybody, any spirit. I mean,
right. Well, you definitely have to interrogate and make sure that they always serve in love.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to demonologists before, and I can believe there are underworld and that there are heavenly, above world creatures, or interdimensional creatures altogether. And that's the best way to put it, is interdimensional creatures, because if there's a heaven and hell, that's all they are, is different dimensions that we can't access just yet. Someday, I mean, CERN's pushing that line a little bit closer and closer every day. But I mean, other than that, like, we can't access them. I mean, I can't reach out and pull apart a freaking veil and walk into heaven and be like, what up, guys? Like, I can't do that. I mean, if I could, I'd love it. If I could talk to my father again, that'd be the greatest thing in the world. Because it's funny, he was my best friend in life. He died in 2017, and yet no psychic or medium has ever said he's with me.
Did he fish?
Not often. My grandfather fished.
Fishing. I heard fishing.
That my one grandfather loved to fish, and he used to fish all the time.
A little fish. Just showing me a little fish.
Maybe we went fishing a couple times, but the only thing I ever caught was a pencil sharpener.
Sunfish.
I don't know. I mean, that could be the one grandfather too who I've been told was with me, which wouldn't surprise me. We were close, and I mean, he was an amazing man, and I miss him dearly. But he was on Earth for a good 80 years, so I can't be too sad he's gone. But and he loved to fish. Like, he took us fishing all the time. He loved to fish. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. He loved to fish. Like, him and my grandmother would go on vacations when I was a kid just to go fishing and to ride bikes, like in Cape Cod and whatnot. So, I mean,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they were my grandmother still is great, but my grandfather was a great man. I mean, he was an amazing grandfather, and both my grandfathers were great men in their own way. But
was he in the service?
Both of my grandfathers were in the service.
Because he just went like this.
Both my grandfathers were Navy men who they were on the same boat. Apparently, in World War II, they got sunk in Japanese waters, but they didn't know each other at the time.
Wow.
And it's funny because I just watched the movie USS Indianapolis, and because I was doing a shark movie tournament on this show, but and it's funny because that boat went down in Japanese waters too, and my one grandfather used to tell me stories about sharks eating, like, they were floating in the water for days, he said, and like sharks would come and randomly take people like that he was floating with. Like he watched his best friends get eaten by sharks. And
Wow.
I wish there was somebody I could ask now what boat they were on. Because I'm like, if it was the USS Indianapolis and I'm actually watching a movie about what my grandparents went through, my grandfathers went through, I should say, then that's mind blowing, because that movie meant so much to me because of that. Because it's the stories my grandpa told me all the time about that situation, and it's just mind-numbingly horrible situation. I mean, but war is never a good situation, but still, it's just to be shot down in the middle of the ocean. Maybe never want to join the Navy. I'll put it out there. He maybe never want to join the Navy or any armed forces for that matter, but it's just the way it goes.
Right.
And I mean, to join the armed forces when I could have, it was 2006, and who the hell wanted to join the armed forces during that time when everything was going on in the Middle East? But
Oh yeah, no.
I never had an urge to do that. But well, we talked about a lot of different subjects today. We went down a lot of different wormholes, which that's the point of this show. So we did good. But
I know
we did
there's
good.
quite a bit there. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of open doors. Holy moly. Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, the important part about this show is that after we're done, we can actually shut the doors back instead of letting things through. That's the only thing that matters. But and we had a lot of audience participation in this one, which I love that. That's the reason I do the show, so the audience can participate, even if they bring us down some holes I didn't plan on going on originally. But whatever, it all works in the end, and it's all meant to happen. I'm a huge believer in fate and synchronicity, and it all happens for a reason. So, well, before we go though, where can people find you, and where can they, if they want to see everything you do, where can they go? Promote yourself to the fullest, basically.
Okay. So you can find me on Facebook at Divine Direct Connections. That is one of my pages. I also have Stay Wild Moonchild, Readings 222. You can look me up at that one. I have a good following on that one. Or Divine Direct Connect on Instagram.
Well, there you go, folks. Please go check Linda out. And if you need any of her services, do not hesitate. She would be more than willing to help, just like all my guests are. And that's why I had these people on, because they're there to help you. And you know what? So, a lot of them have given me help that I never even knew I needed. So that's the point. And Charles, that is respect. I respect your father for that. If he guard national SS prisoners, that's something that need to be done badly. So no, we're not going to go down that wormhole of what happened during World War II on that side, because that's a whole another wormhole in the paranormal field that I'm not going down right now, because I'll be here for another hour then. But all my listeners know, find me on Facebook, Jeremy Bryant, Paranormal Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcast with S Facebook group. Name change coming soon. Find me on Twitter and the Gram as Juggalo Bastard, and find me on TikTok as that Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And you can find me on YouTube as Paranormal Normal, where the videos for this are uploaded once they get released in podcast form, which you can find in any podcatcher. And you can also find me on Blind Knowledge Network on YouTube. And Charles wants to say hi, so I'll let him say hi.
Hello. Thank you.
And of course, you can always just find me everywhere. I'm everywhere. I mean, if you search my name on Google, you'll find me. No worries there. But until next time, I want to thank Linda for coming on. It's been an amazing episode.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all the watchers and listeners for making this a very good episode for participation. I will catch you all next time. Have a good night.
Thank you.